Hello and welcome to At the 55, your home for OUA football. Me and Tom are back on the mics with our East-West Bowl midweek check-in. Tom has been live and direct from the University of Waterloo, Warrior Field, all week, and he will continue to be so, checking out all the action. Tom, you've let me in on so many of the amazing things you've been seeing, and I cannot wait for you to share all the things with our fans. But before we get to all of that, Tom, how the heck are you doing?
Oh, I don't think I could be any better, my friend. Anytime we get such a celebration of U Sports football like this East West Bowl together, me and you being the U Sports football guys, it's just, I'm in heaven right now, being around so many unbelievable people and players and coaches. I'm giddy. I'm so happy.
I'd like to think the only thing that would have made it better is if I were able to attend with you, but
Of
I'm not.
course, of course.
But so happy what you've been able to do there with the crew that we're working with, capturing some of the footage there with our new associates with Royal Media, helping us capture every moment. Shout out to those amazing human beings. Tom, we're recording here. It is May 8th, almost 9 p.m. This will be going up on Thursday, the 9th, video, audio, and everything else we get out, at which point we will have seen, and I will throw it to you, of course, to correct me on all this, we will have seen the uh, CFL free agent camp. We will have seen the combine that my former teammate and current strength coach at Waterloo, Andrew Graham's been facilitating for the East-West participants, and a few practices thus far as we move into Thursday. And no doubt you'll highlight, though I know folks listening to this probably heard the lovely and talented coach Chris Bertoya set up the week as well, set up again what is to come through the rest of the week. But I guess let's just start from the beginning. You arrived on Tuesday. Monday was the trains, planes, and automobiles day, getting everyone sorted in to their specific housing at Waterloo. You arrived on Tuesday. Let's just start there. What have you been seeing? Who have you been talking to? What's it been like?
Oh, it's been outstanding. Once again, the University of Waterloo has been absolutely phenomenal with the organization and the way that things are being run. On that Tuesday morning, that was the combine for all of the participants in the actual East West Bowl. And this is where a lot of the times I actually had a chance to speak to Vince Magri, assistant GM for the Toronto Argonauts. There is a video up on our Instagram if you want to see and hear from him live from there, but he said it perfectly. A lot of the combine here is a lot of like a baseline for the CFL combine that's happening next year. So scouts can see, what did you do East West? How much have you improved going forward here? And the organization of it was fantastic. You had position groups all lined up. The stations were run by University of Waterloo staff, either the athletic trainers or people who are facilitated there. And they did such a phenomenal job making sure that everybody was ready and raring to go. Some of these athletes here really impressed us. We're still waiting on some confirmations on some times and things, so we will make sure to get a full comprehensive list out to all of you when we have that. But a few of the numbers here, I mentioned to Zach off the podcast, I think I kind of ruined it here. Mufta Ageli on the bench, D line, 40 reps at 225, 40, folks. That is unbelievable. But the man is a tank in the middle, so it's not all that surprising. But still, some of the numbers here and some of the athletes that we saw, they were just outstanding.
There's a reason we call him move the heck out of my way, Gelly, because when he can put up those kind of numbers on the bench press, no mortal human can stay in the way of him and quarterbacks and running backs alike. Tom, and it's a shout out to you for the commentary you had coming out of the CFL regional combine that you were able to attend, also at Waterloo. Again, shout out to Waterloo. In making that connection between, well, these numbers didn't track with this player's East-West performance from the year before, or these really skyrocketed. And we obviously added in that, like, well, of course, you have to kind of triangulate all this data, right? Football isn't just and as probably many athletes who play the sport of football experience the frustration when you maybe have someone at your home gym going back home in the summers who's like just straight bodybuilding, putting up these big numbers, and it's like, okay, that's great, but put on some pads and let me see what you can do. Triangulating it not just with the success on the field, because sometimes injuries and other things can get in the way, and just that kind of football instinct that we see that really makes great players great. Because you're also seeing with these practices, these aren't just hey, let's just, obviously no one, they want anyone to get hurt, but it's not just like, all right, hey, like you're gonna let us get a few, we're gonna let you get a few. um Not to say tensions are running high, but I mean, there's a lot of testosterone in that building. There's a lot of testosterone in that building.
Oh yeah, and I can tell you tensions are running high. But when I was there, so after, to give you all the folks a kind of breakdown of how things were happening, the Tuesday morning there was a full combine, bench press, cone drill, 40-yard dash, everything that was there run beautifully, like I mentioned. In the afternoon there was something of a walkthrough period, so all of the players can get a little bit used to the playbooks, both offensively and defensively, and kind of going through things. This morning was the same, but Wednesday afternoon practice was full pads. Now it's still technically thud for those that don't know. It's making contact and then stopping. But when guys made plays, they were letting everybody else know. And I think one of the coolest things that they were doing for the most part was the compete periods were the entire team. So the East offense is off the field on the sidelines watching the defense go, and the West defense is on the sidelines watching their offense go. So they're actively cheering for each other as people are going. And when somebody makes a big hit, when somebody scores a touchdown, it's yelling and hollering and calling people out and making sure that what I will say is there's a lot of people in here that really have impressed me, and we can get into the details with that as well. But once again, we've brought his name up so many times. Taylor Elgersma has been lights out in so many of these periods, capping off, and I believe it was the Skelly period, with a dime, a probably 40 to 50-yard dime to Rhett Varva, wide receiver out of the University of Saskatchewan, down the sidelines for a touchdown. And Taylor made sure everybody knew that he was the guy who threw it. So the tensions, the energy, I should say, has been really high amongst the players. The coaches are loving it. It's such amazing football. So like I said, I am so damn happy.
And just to boot as well, obviously, with Ontario being, or Toronto Waterloo being, hour or so drive, pretty darn nice weather to be having this whole event going on. So like every force in the universe is really pulling for this to be the success that it obviously has been thus far. So let's get into some of the people you got to meet and chat with, because obviously, as Coach Bertoya set up, though it may have been hurting cats, he's gotten darn near every U Sport coach and their staff to come all the way out to the great University of Waterloo in support of this event, and to, leading into Friday with the coaching clinic and everything like that. Who are some of the notable names, and obviously not to leave people out, but just to kind of, again, from our little, OUA perspective, kind of looking a bit across the U Sports landscape, folks that you've got to meet that have really been a cool experience for you, because I know you've met some.
Oh yeah, I've had a chance to speak with a bunch of people, but also see a lot of people there. So obviously, all the guys from Waterloo, you got Bertoya, Coach Conway, Coach Kevin McNeil. But I saw Blake Nill and had a chance to talk to him. Saw Coach Gary Waterman out of the St. FX X-Men out east in Antigonish. Shout out Antigonish.
Shout out.
Being able to talk to him and have him say, "Oh yeah, you're with the At the 55 podcast," which blew my freaking mind, which was so damn cool. Getting a chance to see Steve Snyder, head coach out of the Queens Gales there. He was there as well, and talking to him, chatting him up. The guys from Guelph, head coach Mark Soria, seeing the folks from Laurier, like Todd Galloway, Michael Falds, Greg Marshall is there. A few coaches from Mac. There's some U of T guys. Like there's representation from damn near all over. There's also some CFL. There was a bunch of CFL scouts that are there as well, taking in some of the sights and sounds. Ted Gavaya, one of the assistant GMs out of Winnipeg, I should say, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, is also one of the coaches there for the running back, so he's right in it as well. Stevenson Bone out of UBC. Like, there's representation from across the entire country, which is just so damn cool. And when you see all of the coaches, they're you're competing against each other all season, but the chemistry that they have with each other of just like, we're just going to come together here and just love the game. There's no recruiting. There's a recruiting blackout that's actually happening during this week for East West Bowl. So there's no worries about recruiting. All of the players here are already with their university, so there's no worries about anything else. It's just purely, let's get together, let's coach some phenomenal athletes, and maybe have a couple cervezas at nighttime.
Yeah, maybe just a few. Um, yeah, Tom, again, kind of keeping that like U sport landscape perspective on all things. And I don't want to step on some of the content that you and our friends with Royal Media have been putting together that will be putting out throughout the week and in the weeks to come. But I know you've gotten the chance to not only sort of take in observing the play of the players and kind of just sort of getting a sense of the vibe and everything, but I know you've gotten to speak with a couple guys and again, not just in the OUA landscapes, dapping up the guys that we've become friendly with. Obviously, we had Taylor on the show and we know him quite well. Guys at Mac that you're familiar with, the Guelph connections, everything like that. Again, keeping a sense of some of the content we have coming out in the time to come, but also wanting to set it up a bit. What's that experience been like for you?
Oh, it's been outstanding. Like you've kind of alluded to, I had a chance to speak to all of the quarterbacks that were invited here.
So
Two guys
cool.
from the OUA, two guys from the OUA, and one other person from all of the other conferences, and just talk to them about some of the things that we've been seeing. And most of them have experience playing on the national stage. And so getting a chance to hear their side of the story. One person that I want to shout out, and I won't give too much away because we are doing at least small interviews that we'll be posting, but is Silas Fagnon out of Saint FX, and asking him, talking to him about what it feels like to hear what everybody has to say about the AUS, that the AUS is lesser football, that it's this and that, whatever. And you can see there's a fire in his eyes, even though he made sure to keep his comments, somewhat PC or whatever, but there's a fire in his eyes, and you can tell that that pisses him off, and he wants to showcase, you know what, we've got some damn good football in Eastern Canada as well. And so getting a chance to hear those guys and seeing them compete and seeing these guys throw, like I said, seeing Taylor Elgesma throw to Rhett Varva, watching Jackson Tuchinski throw it out to Ethan Jordan. It's so damn cool to be able to watch and see these things. And it's a testament to the athletes that are out on the field as well. Because Zach, as you and I both know, chemistry on position groups is so
Mm.
damn important, and they're already getting it very quickly. Now, obviously, because there's only a week's worth of time to actually practice, the offense has a total of like 8 plays from a few different formations, so it may look a little different, but it's still pretty basic. But still, like, having complete receiving routes, having protections with offensive linemen that you haven't had a chance to really play with as well. And just getting that chemistry both offensively and defensively has been something that I'm really, really impressed with. And once again, because of the personalities on this field and because all of these guys know that we are competing not just with each other, but we just want to showcase our talents and we can do that together. It's somebody makes a play, somebody from Montreal makes a play, and somebody from UBC is coming up and dapping them up and saying, "Hey, hell yeah, this what a hell of a play!" Despite the fact that they just played in the Vanier Cup together, guys from Western and Laurier are coming together saying, "Hey, we're gonna torch the McGill guy." You know what I mean? Like, it's just so damn cool to see these athletes strip away some of the university ties that they have and just come up and say, "Let's just play some good old fashioned football."
100%. And you mentioning the chemistry piece, and I'm kind of just scrolling through this list of names at this event, and just just in awe of the just how incredible this list of athletes are, and a few I want to get to in particular, guys who we've seen again, as an opportunity now to focus outside of our province here in our league here, guys that we've been sort of hearing on the periphery and into the U Sports playoffs. But sticking with the Saint FX crew, and obviously I love that you alluded to that conversation you had with Silas, and just looking at this three-headed monster they bring here to East West of Fagnon, Bussy, and then Ben Harrington. Because like when they're in the mix here playing with all these other guys, like obviously you said there's the chemistry piece. Daniel, I'm sure, can throw every route in the route tree to Harrington in his sleep, eyes closed, whatever you want to say. Um, but to that point of the disparity that pundits, if I may be so bold to call you and I pundits, discuss in terms of the disparity amongst these leagues, I have to imagine, again, I'm unfortunately not able to join Tom there this week, but that like once they're all in the mix and you strip away the logo, you couldn't tell that like, you know, one guy's a Vanier Cup winning player versus another one being a guy who's been a fringe playoff player versus one guy who's been a part of the Le Rouge or and another player who's been on a team and a conference that we might think lesser of. Once you strip the, as you mentioned, you strip the team pageantry away, these are truly, and again, kind of alluding to some content we're going to have later, if not the 100 best players in youth sports, we'll be keeping it within the OUA landscape, but that's how we do it here at the 55. If not the 100, of course, the 100 best that are eligible for the draft next year. I have to imagine, like you're saying, once you strip away that pageantry, they're all in there throwing it. These plays, I'm sure they've all done in some form or fashion. It's just football for them. There's no like, oh, the AUS guy is up now. It's going to be that. It's all just like, no, no, no. These guys are elite.
I could not agree more. Ben Harrington has already kind of cemented himself as a go-to receiver. I've seen Arnaud Desjardins throw him a few passes and him come down with a couple of contested balls, which has been outstanding. Malcolm Busey really, once again, showcasing his stuff. Like you mentioned, that three-headed monster out of St. FX for sure has been influencing things as they go. And it's just so incredible to see because exactly like you said, the AUS gets such a bad rap, but when you see their top talent and they're in here, they're out, they're mixing it up and they're doing their thing, which has been really outstanding. Somebody else that I want to make sure that I'm calling out as well. Just want to make sure I got, yeah, Oliver Burnett, slot receiver out of Bishops. I
Mm,
saw him put Riley McLeod on skates, damn near broke the kid's ankles with a move going out the sideline. So he's doing his thing as well. There's been so many outstanding players here. And once again, as former offensive linemen, where would we be if we're not shouting out some of the big boys that are here?
100%.
I saw some outstanding offensive line plays, specifically out of the one-on-one periods, which were just so amazing to see. Let me see. Let me make sure that I'm getting a proper shout out. Matt Stokeman, number 64 out of the University of Manitoba. He was playing at guard. Outstanding sets against some of the top guys that are in here. And somebody else that I'm pleasantly surprised with as well on the defensive side, Alex Chang, defensive lineman out of McMaster, really showcasing his stuff. Has some pretty good pass rush moves, has been moving pretty well, and looks like a load to be working with. So I was very happy to see that as well. But you can tell these guys are just gamers. Arnold Desjardins, while having the arm, still has the legs, and he took off and was running. And now, obviously, quarterbacks aren't live, but he's gone for 25 yards before anybody even touches him. So, not only seeing the top talent that's in U Sports, but seeing guys who are, I don't want to say rising above, but still showcasing how good they are amongst a peer group that is some of the best in U Sports, like you said, is just so amazing to be able to see and to be able to witness. You can tell there's so much excitement around this. Guys are itching and ready to play. Even, like I said, somebody from across the country, somebody from UBC who's talking to a St. FX coach is listening and attentive and is not dismissive whatsoever. They're there. They want to play the game. They want to be a part of something. And it's just so unbelievably cool to be a part of as well. Couple other people that I saw just before I forget as well. I met Dexter Janke and I also met Greg Knox out of the York Lions. Coach Janke also let me know
Met?
that, yeah, he let me know that we put him in a little bit of hot water when we broke the news that he was going to York about a week early. But that's what happens when you get top of the line breaking news, I guess. I did apologize to him just so that I'm being clear, but it's still so amazing to see so many walks of life and be connected in that sense.
I'd love for us at some point get a photo, you and me in the middle with Greg Knox and Kevin McNeil on either side of us, just as the defensive coordinators that gave you and I perhaps the biggest headaches we've ever dealt with when they were our respective defenses coordinators. Tom, we're just like we said, kind of going into this. We're just gonna talk. We're just that's what we do. We do it well. We just talk. I'm harkening back to the 22 U Sport semifinals because obviously this past year, the Western game at Montreal, like unless of course you're a Carabin fan, and what a year it was to be a fan of Montreal. Allez les Bleus, allez les Bleus. What a dud of a game that was. UBC St. FX wasn't that hot a game either, but those 22 semifinals were just, blazing hot, right? And we had that game in London with Laval coming, Le Rouge et Or, ruining Western hosting, perhaps the hosting what would have been what was their first Vanier Cup in London ever. And then, of course, out in Antigonish, St. FX almost pulling up the X-Men against Saskatchewan, then subsequently Saskatchewan in that dogfight against, pun intended, with the Huskies against the Rouge et Or. And just thinking about those Huskies, we're shouting out those guys for St. FX. And, hey, when you are the top of your league and you're representing at the U Sport semi level and at the Vanier Cup, yeah, you get a little more airtime on a show like this. And again, just taking the chance, going through this rotation, and just what a great generation of players we have. Where you've mentioned Rhett Varva, but also Daniel Weeb, who we saw produce for them, Riker Frank, who was a beast, and of course it all starts, with just with that crew they have in there, like those skill position guys. That's just so nasty, and I'm trying to remember the cue they had back with that crew they had throwing. What we're spacing on that one. We'll get IT on that one, so we don't miss a beat in
Oh my
here.
God.
But again, as we talk about these players who have performed at the highest level, um, two names, but really one name, I am just so just on pins and needles to ask you about. Two guys that stood out perhaps as much as any in a defense that was the best, hands down, the league in the Montreal Carabin. Jeremiah Ojo on the defensive line, but of course, I'm really asking just about Harold Missin, a linebacker for Montreal. Like, what's it been like? We obviously saw them up close in the Vanier Cup. It's a different type of atmosphere when it's a little more, you can emphasize, like you said, in the compete period, seeing them just like, all right, hey, this is about you. You're not part of a system. It's just you now. What's it been like getting to see some of these Montreal defenders up close?
Oh, it's been outstanding. But by the way, Mason Nias is the
Oh,
name you're thinking
goodness
about
gracious, me oh my. Shout out to Mason
from
Knies.
Saskatchewan. But yeah, seeing these Montreal defenders, they are no joke. There is a damn good reason why they won the Vanier Cup this past season. Harold Missin, in particular, has become something of the voice of the defense for the Team East. He's the one chirping at guys on Team West, getting people fired up and ready to go. But he's also the first guy to go up to his teammate and dap him up and say, hey, hell of a play, great job. Him and the McGill guy, buddy, making sure that, hey, we're doing this thing, we're going off from here. So it was just so incredible to see these guys perform. And it's so easy to see some of the people who are leaders, obviously a lot of these guys who are captains on their team or whatever, but you can physically see leadership in a lot of these young men. And Harold Missin, I think, is one of those, stepping up to the plate. Yes, talking, being loud, but making sure that he's talking not only to the other team, but to his own guys as well. And uplifting everybody else there, which was fantastic. And even you mentioned about the outstanding semifinal games that we had in 2022. Arnaud Desjardins and Silas Fagnon were both guys in there, and I had a chance to talk to both of them and ask them about their respective games, which is just so damn cool to be able to do things like that. Watching a guy like Jackson Tuchinski come back from a separated shoulder, be in this game and start throwing and make sure that he's good to go. Keegan Hall, who had an emergency appendectomy like 3 months ago and is out in here now, making sure that he is doing his thing and throwing and doing all this stuff. So yeah, it's just been outstanding. What an unbelievable experience seeing so many outstanding players.
I mean, between having, Keegan Hall being there, obviously Drake Bodie's there as well, but as well a Tuchinski family member being there as well. Hey, so far 2024 off to a good start for your McMaster Marauders, you know? Um,
Uh,
Tom, let's take a look. Obviously, again, we're recording here. It's Wednesday night. This will come out Thursday midday. You'll have already taken in some of the events of that day. Just take us through what the rest of this week leading up to the actual game on Saturday is looking like for you and for everyone at East West.
So tomorrow, that's Thursday, May 9th. It'll be another full day of practices, 2-day practices, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And then at night, after the second practice is done, there will be an official East-West Bowl gala dinner. They're bringing this back. I think it's been on hiatus for the past couple of years. Not only shout out to Chris Bertoya in this one, but shout out to Stu Lane, Billy Brown, I should say, Sarah said, and all of the guys over at Guelph for helping to get this up and running, get this back going. So it's so incredible. Billy Brown, I'm so sorry. But it's just so incredible to see so many people want to be a part of this and want to bring everything back. So that's Thursday. Friday, it's an entire day of the coaches clinic, top of the line coaches. Like you cannot find a better assortment of unbelievable knowledge here. Not only that, but all four coaches from the national semifinal, UBC, Montreal, Western, and Saint FX, all four of those head coaches are not only going to be there, they're going to have a Q&A period. So as somebody else, as another coach, a budding coach who wants to come in and ask a championship level coach questions about how to properly run an offense, what do you do to try to hide a defensive coverage, what does your twist game look like, how do you blitz, how do you, anything is on the table, and you're talking to some of the best minds that U Sports football has to offer. Like it's a no-brainer. You have to go to this.
And sorry, moderated by who?
Moderated by
Michael
the
Fault.
yes, by Michael Fall, who is arguably, he's cementing himself as one of the best head coaches, but is arguably one of the best players to have ever played as well. Was a pretty damn good quarterback while he was doing that as well. So yeah, pretty decent, I'd say the lineup is for that Friday. Saturday morning is a continuation of that coaches clinic, and then right at 12:30, the East West Bowl will kick off. There will be live coverage. There will be a stream that's there for the folks who are across the country. But if you are anywhere in Ontario within 3 hours, get here. Watch these outstanding players play, and you're not going to regret it. I guarantee you will not regret it. And on top of everything, a ticket to the coaches clinic automatically gets you a ticket to the game as well.
I was almost I was contemplating taking the day off work on Friday, not actually to do coverage with you, but just literally to be one of those coaches there with pen and
Yeah.
pad, taking notes from all these people. Tom, I'm kind of just zoned out again, just staring at Isaiah Knight's name now on this list. Running back out of UBC, like it's just it's a who's who of U Sport football right now. And you add this into the fact that, I mean, we didn't even really do a CFL draft recap. You add in the names from that list, and I pulled it up quick, and obviously seeing Luke Brubaker's name on here, seeing obviously Olivier Mwembe's name on here, Tyson Herga, all the great names who got drafted, and maybe we'll do some way, 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 way too late conversations about that, or as we get into some camps. It's been a busy time for us over here at the 55. And then again, you throw in that this is all coming off the back of Red Black as well, thinking about that next generation. It's just there's that meme, and we joked about it with Jack Moore, of just guys saying names, but like we could literally have a great time just talk, like saying names and just going, oh man, that
No.
Ife Onyeka, what
Oh,
a baller he is, right? Or just like going through the list here, right? Ethan Pyle, Daniel Hosevar, guys that with Guelph on the O line, all these guys right here. Um, Man, oh man. It's beautiful. I'm buzzing just thinking about all these things and just getting to see the content, the snippets that you've been able to put together. Last thoughts. I mean, if we're missing anything major, obviously this is kind of our midweek check, and we'll obviously do a full breakdown of it. There's some people that you've been able to connect with from this event that we'll be having likely having on the show talking about this, that, and everything else, U sport and Canadian football after the fact. So we'll definitely return to a lot of these conversations. But yeah, last thoughts or just things that we might have missed so far.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I'm calling out a few folks here. Vishan Janusis, wide receiver out of University of Guelph, has really impressed me. Once again, he's doing all of the amazing things that he did at Guelph here amongst other fellow all-stars, which is just so incredible. He's turning into one of the other go-to receivers amongst a list of incredible receivers, obviously. But he has really impressed me as well. I loved the athleticism and the almost how smooth Jake Oseen out of the University of Toronto was. I watched him a little bit at the combine itself, and the way that he's moving, he just looks like such an athlete, the way that he's able to contort his body and to make certain catches and things, which has been really outstanding to see. I'm really, really impressed with how well, like I said, everybody has been coming together here. The chemistry that's on the field with people who have only practiced 3 times together, and you're still seeing outstanding play. And it's a real testament to who these people are as athletes, first and foremost, and football players. And it's just so incredible to be able to see, to be able to be a part of, to have somebody come up to me and say, "Hey, aren't you Tom from At the 55?" What do you mean you recognize me? That's what?
Tom,
It's
cooler moment. Gary Waterman knowing who you are, or some random guy 4 or 5 beers deep at the big house in Michigan randomly knowing who you are.
as cool as it was to be in Michigan, I gotta say
It's
Gary
got
Waterman.
Waterman.
I
Yeah.
have to. That's so damn cool. He's a legend. He's one of the best coaches.
Oh
It's
my
just so
God.
damn cool.
Amazing. Again, Tom mentioned it, but tickets can be purchased online, athletics.uwaterloo.ca, and follow the links to the ticket information section. General admission grandstand tickets, $12 for adults, $8 for youth, 6 to 12 years old, non-University of Waterloo students, $5, and $5 for children 5 and under, and admission free for University of Waterloo students with a valid Watt card. Again, that's going to be taking place on May 11th,
Mhm.
which again, hopefully the weather has been keeping up as it's been doing so all week. And if you are tuning in on the stream, which again, if you're not there in person, what the hell are you doing with your life? At least tune into the stream. Little spoiler alert, they might be hearing your voice pop up there as well, seeing your face, maybe.
Yes, yes. There's a strong possibility that sometime at the beginning of the second quarter, you might hear my voice, you might see my face, depending on what the camera setup is like, which I am incredibly excited for as well. One last thing I want to make sure that I call out as well. Practice today was fantastic. It's the only padded practice before the game happens where there's actual compete periods. So there's one-on-ones, there's skelly, there's team periods, and all that. The practice ended with a kicking contest between one Eric
Brian,
Maximuk out of Concordia and our guy Brian
Brian
Garrity
Garrity.
out of Western. And they're going back and forth for as Team West and Team East representatives here. For what prize, you might say? Who is able to use the main locker room for the game? Somebody gets the
Ooh.
main and somebody gets the away team's locker room. And so it was pretty fantastic to see 100, well, technically 99 guys surrounding their kickers, trying to psych out the other opposing team's kicker. What I will say, Eric Maximuk out of Concordia for Team East won this challenge. He was able to outkick Brian Garrity. It is not Garrity's fault. The snap was messed up. The holder had to get it back all together here. But at the end of the day, it's not just a kicker. Long snappers are people too, for better or for worse this time. And Team East came away with this one. So they will have the home team locker room, and Team West will be in the away room.
A wise man once said the ball doesn't magically appear in the holder's hands. Tom, this was so amazing. I'm so happy for you. And of course, also recognizing not just that it's a fun event for you to be at, but all the hard work that you are doing along with our new friends at Royal Media, putting everything together. Obviously, if you're seeing our content that is appearing looking a bit crisper than usual, you can know how that's all up and operating. So again, get your tickets, tune in on the stream, however you have to do it. This is can't miss content if you are not just a U Sport football fan, a football fan of all shapes, sizes, and nationalities, NFL, CFL, whatever it might be. This is as good an event as you can lay your eyes on. So Tom, I wish you all the best. I'm sure you'll be flooding my texts. I'm trying to talk to my kids about goodness knows what in philosophy class tomorrow morning, but I can't wait to hear about all these things. I can't wait to be talking with you about these later on in the week right here at the 55.